First, Chapel Cross nuclear power station in southwest Scotland. It's being demolished. The 4 iconic cooling towers have gone. Its radioactive nuclear fuel is being removed. But Chapel Cross has another supersized cleanup problem: how to remove over 3,000 tons of deadly asbestos. It's the second biggest asbestos removal project in the world. It's everywhere.
We're here in the turbine hall at the moment, and this is a typical example of the type of insulation that we're removing from all these pipes. All these pipes that we see around here, as you can see, they're identified as asbestos, which has probably been on since the building was built.
When Chapel Cross was built in the 1950s, asbestos was a wonder material. Great insulator, fireproof, resists chemical attack. They used it all over the place. The workers even had snowball fights with it. That turned out to be a horrible mistake. Decades later, many asbestos workers died. Inhaled fibres caused the lung disease asbestosis and fatal cancers. One of the men stripping Chapel Cross's 3,000 tons of deadly asbestos is Willie Cunningham. It's a job that requires extreme precautions.
This is my gear that I'll need today. A couple of pair of disposable overalls, a couple of pair of disposable paper socks, a paper vest, a pair of paper underpants.
As well as protecting the asbestos strippers, they have to protect the public from fibres. They decided to enclose the building in an airtight box, starting with a massive scaffolding frame.
We're actually standing on 11 floors of scaffolding, which makes us approximately 90 foot off the ground. This scaffold's built to withstand the 100-mile-an-hour winds, and it's designed for seismic, obviously, because not that we get any earthquakes around here.
Key protection for the strippers is their tight-fitting mask. Air pressure inside the mask stops any asbestos fibres from getting in.
Everything's fine now. I've got a good seal on my mask, and I've got a good airflow blowing into my mouthpiece.
The box around the building is complete. Like Willie's mask, the whole thing is airtight.
We get the minimum of 8 air changes per hour. On this particular tent, we've got enough extraction on this to give us 20 air changes per hour.
With the enclosure around the building airtight and the workers protected with pressurised masks, the work of the day can begin. They're about to dig into Chapel Cross's deadly asbestos. In southwest Scotland, 3,000 tonnes of asbestos is being stripped from Chapel Cross, one of Britain's first nuclear power stations. It made electricity for 45 years, until 2004. Now it has to go. But demolition can't start until all the asbestos is gone. Willie Cunningham, in airtight ventilated mask, disposable suit and paper underwear, heads into the stripping zone.
But what we're doing here is we're doing what you call the bulk strip.
The bulk strip involves removing big lumps of asbestos insulation, the first stage in the process.
We've got the guys in here working in teams of 4 or 5, and basically there's some guys going along taking the insulation off in manageable lengths, and then we've got other guys who are putting the insulation into the red bags.
The asbestos has been treated to stop fibres escaping. They use a double bagging system that keeps all remaining fibres on the inside.
You can see there's very little fibre release from it, and it's ideal. That's the way we want the insulation. Believe it or not, this is the type of weight the guys particularly really enjoy.
The double-bagged asbestos is taken out of the building through a sort of airlock. Once the bags are out, Neil Cook transfers them to a lockable skip.
When the bags originally packed in the red bag inside the tent, it's then washed, packed into another clear bag, which is then taped and then passed through and comes out. Anything between 700 and 1,100–1,200 in an afternoon.
Not only must the team remove the asbestos, they have to guarantee that the absolute minimum of fibres escape as they do it. To make sure they deliver, Stuart Allen checks the air around the plant.
One of the main reasons we picked this area is because it's a vulnerable spot in the actual enclosure.
The pump sucks through a measured volume of air.
What we've got here now, we've got 5.8 litres per minute.
The air passes through a filter which captures any asbestos fibres. They check all around the site. In the lab, the filter is checked under the microscope. If there are too many fibres, the operation will be shut down. At Europe's biggest asbestos removal operation at Chapel Cross in southwest Scotland, stripping is going well. But the operation will grind to a halt if deadly asbestos fibres are found to have escaped. In the lab, Stuart is hoping this sample will pass.
We have to have less than 20 fibres on each sample.
No sample will be free of fibres because there's some asbestos almost everywhere, but this one is okay.
The next process from the bulk strip is what we call the fine clean. The fine clean is probably one of the more boring types of the work that we do. You can spend days and days in one little small location, chipping away, scraping away, wire brushing away to get the valve to the standard that we need to get it to get a clearance, to get an inspection from the analytical company.
It's detailed, concentrated manual work using basic tools.
Wire brushes, chipping hammers, scrapers.
You've got to be shadow vacuuming as well at the same time, holding the vacuum cleaner.
After the strippers have finished, analysts go in with torches and hand tools to inspect every inch for remaining asbestos. What they're all working towards is this: machinery completely cleared of asbestos and safe.
That's a job complete. That's what we work towards. But a lot of hard work goes into getting that to that stage.
The immaculately stripped power station will be demolished. It's been an uncomfortable, labour-intensive, expensive operation dealing with serious risks. And all because the men who applied 3,000 tonnes of asbestos to Chapel Cross in the 1950s had no idea just how deadly it was. Flush your toilet in Westminster, and an hour later, the contents will end up here, Abbey Mills pumping station in East London. It's a meeting place for a lot of London's sewage, and F Station is one of the biggest sewage pumping facilities in Britain.
This is one of the biggest pumping stations that we've got.
F Station can pump 32 cubic metres per second. 16 pumps, and each one of those pumps can fill a telephone box, normal red telephone box, in 2 seconds. So that gives you some idea of how much volume of sewage they pump.
So, if you want to fill a telephone box with sewage, this is the place to bring it. Today, Danny and Rob are on a different mission. The pumps have to be regularly inspected, but access has become impossible because of the build-up of fat deposits from the sewage. Today, they're going to clear it. The problem is, stuff the sewage system isn't designed for.
There was an inflatable boat found in here equipped with oars, and God knows, so someone had been whitewater rafting somewhere. Or brown water rafting.
Yeah, in fact, someone's idea of fun, I suppose, isn't it? Right, let's go and do our idea of fun and get stuck into this wet well.
They're going into a vast underground cavern called a wet well. It's a hazardous location, most obviously from the fat they're trying to shift.
Yeah, the fat's basically just like grease, lard, so you know how slippery lard is. What we've got here is probably half of London's lard all in one place, so yeah, it could be quite dangerous for us.
The biggest dangers are from gases produced by the sewage.
Gas monitor, standard piece of kit. Monitors for high and low oxygen and a variety of gases, including methane, explosive atmosphere and the such like. It's notoriously, quite a fatty situation.
In case the gas alarm sounds where they can't make a quick escape, each man has an emergency breathing kit.
You can rebreathe in there for about 20 minutes or 100 minutes if you're at rest.
One last thing, the boots.
Nice set of long boots as well. Give them a bit of a clean up and a polish. They're all right for a Friday night on the town. Believe me, in the West End, I've seen boots longer than this.
I wonder what sort of places Danny goes to in the West End.
Right, lights on and away we go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Very nice.
Lovely.
Welcome to our humble abode for the next couple of hours.
The wet well is deep in greyish fat. It comes from homes and restaurants. Floating on the sewage water as it cools, it hardens. And this is where the solid fat ends up.
If you get 13 million customers all putting down a little bit, you end up with a lot of it, don't you? You've got 60 cubic metres of fat in here, and that's one sump out of 4 sumps in this pumping station. A lot of fat. A lot of packets of lard anyway.
And a lot of fat for Danny and Rob to shift. Coming up on Supersized Grime, 100 feet up, cleaning a 400,000 volt tower.
Well, if you're scared of heights, you're a non-starter in this game.
Danny and Rob are up to their knees in fat.
Fatberg, that's what we call them. Like an iceberg really, but it's just made of fat.
In East London, Danny and Rob are descending into one of the more hellish spots in the London sewage system, the wet well at Abbey Mills pumping station. The pumps here need regular inspection, but the access route into the wet well is completely blocked with mountains of solidified fat from restaurants and homes. It's floated here on the sewage. For the pumps to keep working, the fat has to go.
It's a bit like when you do your custard in a microwave for too long. You get that skin on the top, you know, and that's what we've got here, but on a bit of a grander scale, you know. It's no birds, but certainly stinks.
What's the plan, Stan? Some over the top and some down to you?
Yeah, as much over the top as we can and wash the rest down.
Sewage arrives here by gravity, so the wet well has to be the deepest part of the sewer system. The job of the pumps is to lift it up again to continue its journey to the sewage works.
You know, everybody has to go to the toilet sometime or other. And if they go to the toilet in London, around the Parliament Square area, that comes into this station.
This is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year working system. So it's never going to be 100% clean.
But it can't function if it's this dirty either.
Well, as you can see, there is just about everything in here. So in order for us to get down into the well here and inspect the pumps, we've got to cut all this. I mean, this is a great big lump of fat.
It's solid bloody fat, you can cut it out in chunks, you know?
Solid like concrete. Fatberg, that is what we call them. You know, like an iceberg really, but it's just made of fat, you know. Shouldn't even be in the sewers really, fat.
Today's job is to clear the stairway so that engineers can get to the pumps. Danny is shoveling the fat into the wet well where it floats on the surface of the water.
See, I got the easy job today, feel sorry for me. Poor old boy.
Oh, it requires a great amount of skill and concentration, you know.
Well,
squeeze the trigger and aim at the same time.
My grandson told me that Fireman Sam is a highly professional guy, so...
This is where it can be quite dangerous and quite deceiving because to the untrained eye that looks pretty normal, but if we get the shovel and stick it there, you know, that's sort of 700 mil, nearly a metre deep, so it could well take someone unawares, you know. This is the sort of stuff that's floating in there. I'll try and get this for you. Yeah, I mean, someone's been quite gracious and put the cap on it, but that is actually hypodermic syringe in there, so you don't know whether someone's had that for medical reasons or recreational use. But either way, it's not in a yellow box, which is where it should be. So this is the sort of thing we have to be careful of. You know, you can't just go wading in because there could be all sorts in here. So I think that's far enough for us.
Rob and Danny have become connoisseurs of sewage system fat.
Fatty balls, these are. This is where the fat rolls around in the flow. See that bit there, look? The size of that. It's about, I don't know, 2 or 3 foot square, I suppose. Christ.
There's a little family of frogs there. They like warm, damp places. They've got plenty to eat down here, haven't they? So there he goes. Wouldn't fancy eating that one. Give him to the French.
Eventually, the fat in the well itself will need to be cleared. But because it floats, provided the sewage can flow underneath it, the system still works. With the stairway cleared of fat, it's mission complete for Danny and Rob.
It weren't too bad as it goes.
No,
it's quicker if you get stuck in, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, it comes down to a blend of
Raw
knowledge,
talent.
Right, come on. If you don't wash this stuff off, it just, well, it'll get the worst of it off. Get in the van tomorrow morning, you'll find blue bottles flying around in there like bloody helicopters.
Another one done.